We're back in Python. I think this is lesson 3. And we are looking now at loops and why we need loops in Python, or why they're useful, and some examples of where they could benefit if we write a program that needs to repeat something many times. Then loops are a good idea. For example, in this first exercise, I've got basically the same statement. So it's going to print this is number 1, this is number 2, and if I run this, it will give me all the numbers. So what we have here is a string. Yeah, we've got a print function, we've got the brackets, and we've got a string. Okay, so it's basically printing that string many times. Now that's okay, but let's say we've got the numbers 1 to 1,000. That's going to be a lot of code, a lot of lines of code, okay, which would lead to quite a big file in terms of saving and potentially in terms of running. Now we can do this in just 2 lines, okay, using the loops. So I'm going to show you that now. So we'll start with lesson 1. How would you usually see a for loop written? It's basically using what they call a range. So I'll show you this. If I was to put for I, which is the integer, the number value, for I in range, okay, and we're going to count down, or we're going to count up, like so, and put some columns in there. For I in range 10, so what does that mean? For the number of the integer in the range set to 10. Right, okay, well, what does that mean? So I'm going to put the print statement back in that we had before, but this time I'm going to pop in brackets, this is number. If I can learn to spell. This is number, okay. We're going to finish that off like so. I'm going to pop a comma in there as we've done before. Sorry, if I have a double quote, a single quote, let me put double quotes in. This is number, okay. I've put double quotes in, just if this was pluralized somehow, this is the numbers. If I was to do this, somewhat, not that that makes any sense in English, but if I was to do that, then I couldn't have single quotes here. So it's always useful to have double quotes, but there are exceptions to that rule where you will need to use single quotes. So I'm just going to take that out. So I've got my string, yeah, and I've put a comma in because I'm going to put something else in after that. You've probably worked out what it is. It's the letter I. Okay. So I'm going to pop that in afterwards. Okay, I'm going to close my brackets. Yeah. So for I in range is 10. So we're looking at a loop that's going to go around 10 times. Yeah. For I, the integer in the range 10, print this string and then the value of I. Okay. So if I run this now, it will do this first part to start with, so that is 1, 2, 3, 9 lines of code. Now I've done this in 2. Okay, so I'm going to click on run, and I'm going to run this module. Yeah, I've got to save it. Remember, we're in idle. There you go, and it's done exactly the same. But because it's Python, yeah, it's done it from 0 to 9, because it will always start at 0. Now I will show you in a little while how we can change that so it would go 1 to 10 or 1 to 9 in the case of this, but just close that for the time being. So as you can see, we've done that in 2 lines of code. Now I can up this number. I can put it to 1,000. For the sake of this and for speed, I'll put it to 100. And if I run this, any ideas what the number might be, the last number might be, and what the first number might be based on what we've just done? If I run this module, click OK, and it's going to carry on until it gets to the number 70s, 80s, 90s, 99. Okay, so it's done 100 loops, but it started at 0, yep, and gone through to 99. Okay, so that's one way of doing this, but that is where if you go on Google and you start looking for lessons in loops, you will probably find the for I in range, but it is a little bit confusing. I mean, we can rewrite this. If I was to take this here and copy that, I've done it for lesson 2. I've done a little bit. I'm just going to cover my face for the time being, or half of my face. Here I have changed the variable value I, which we can assume stands for integer, to something that makes more sense. The green text will be printed before the list of numbers. Well, there's a green text. So if I take this, I'm going to pop it in here. Okay. So all I need to do, this is a variable. So I can, the numbering range. Okay. Remember, look, it stays black. Yeah. So that's okay. For numbering range, I'm just going to drop these back to 10. 10, and let's have a little look. So what I'd like you to do is think about what you put here. What is it doing? Okay, prints the numbers from 0 to whatever is in the brackets. Okay, now it's not going to work like that because I've got the I in. These two have got to be the same, so I can copy that, or I can just type in the word number. If we copy it though, if you get into the habit of copying things like this, then if you make a spelling mistake here, if let's say you've got quite a big, quite a large name, and you spell it wrongly here, or wrongly here, if they don't sort of marry up, then it won't work. Okay, so I've renamed it, as you can see there. I'm going to run this, run module, and it should give me, save it, same thing, prints a number from 0 to whatever is in the brackets, 0, 1, okay, so it's done it again. Okay, so that might make more sense. So for the number in the range, yeah, for this, yeah, print out basically all of the numbers. So however many numbers you've got in there, we can print those out, and it will repeat that for that number of times, but it will always start at 0 if you've just got one statement in the brackets. Okay, now I'm going to have a little look at this and sort of take this a step further, because the beauty of the brackets, if I go over my face altogether, I'm just going to set these to 3. So when it does repeat, it is quite quick. So lesson 3, something that makes the for loop quite useful is the ability to change the values in the brackets. Now we don't just have one value. Okay, we're not just going to have one value in here like we've got here. Okay, we can put up to 3 values in here. Well, what do I mean? Well, there are 3 different values. The first is the start number, the second is the stop number, and the third is the number of steps. So if I was to go here, and now I'm going to do again for, let's call this number value, okay, because then there will be 3 different number values you're going to see. The number value in range, this time I'm going to start the brackets, but I'm going to put a 10, okay, put a comma in again. We know that that's separating one thing to another, and we've got a little clue here: range, start, stop, and steps. Okay, there you go, start, stop, and steps, like I've just explained. So if I 10, so it's going to start at 10, go to 1, yeah. So it's going to count. Well, that's counting backwards then, surely. If that starts at 10, and let me put myself back on so you can see me. If it starts at 10 and goes to 1, well, how's it going to count down? Well, if I put, let's say I put -2 in there, okay, so this theory, it should count from the number 10 all is let's have a see, because remember it's Python. Is it going to start at 10? Is it going to start at 9? And it's going to go down to 1. Okay. So again, a little bit of experimentation. Is it going to go down to the number 1, or is it going to go down to the first number value, which is 0? We will see. Okay. So what we're going to do? Well, let's have a look. If sorry, I've missed out the. Remember, you must have the 2 dots, colon, and we just print for now, no string, just print this value out. So again, let's grab that, C, paste, paste. So yeah, number value in range 10, 1, 0, minus 2. 10 should be start, 1 should be stop, and minus 2 should be the number of steps. Let's see what happens here. So I'm going to run the module. I'm going to click OK. And there we go. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Okay, perfect. So it's counted from 10 down to 1, but it's gone in steps of minus 2. So just to make it a little bit clearer, if I start at 20, I'm going to go down to 1. In fact, no, let's start at 50. I'm going to go down to 1, but this time I'm going to go down in steps of 5. Okay, so it's always going to be like a 5 times table. Run module. Okay, 50, 45, and it's going down to 5. So it's giving us like a backward 5 times table. Of course, we can do it the other way around. We can start at 1, go through to 60. This time we're not going to go in minus numbers, we're going to go in pluses, in positive numbers. Again, run this again. Save the task, and this time, here we've got that. But we're going to go up, oh my word, now what's happened there? So it's gone from 1, so it's counted from the number 1, but it's added 6 on every time, and it's gone up to 60. Okay, so that's one thing you might need to bear in mind. What I would like you to have a look at, have a think about, is how you could do it as a 6 times table. Have a little think about that for a few moments, because I'm now going to show you how to do, in the next challenge, how to do the 7 times table. Okay, and we'll see. So for the next challenge, you are to practice a multiplication table program. Below is a simple version based on the 7 times table. Well, there isn't, but this should prep you for this challenge here. So let's go. In fact, I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller. 25. Okay. Lesson 4. So what are we going to do now? Well, I'm going to go back to for I in range. Okay. This is because one letter is simpler than typing in numbers. For I in range. Yep. And we're going to go from, what should we do here? We'll go from that to that. So I've got to start and stop. Okay, but what does that mean? Okay, I've got to start and stop, so it's going to 1 to 11. Okay, fair enough. Again, remember the colon. Good. Gets your indent, you know what you're doing. Print. Okay, I'm going to put a string in here. So I'm going to put the double quotes in. 7 times. Okay. Comma. I. Yeah. So 7 times I. Comma. Is. Comma. I. Remember the multiplication sign. Times 7. Okay. So 7 times I, okay, is I times 7. So every time it goes around here, it's going to go from 1 to 11. Every time it goes that way, it's going to count, yeah, or it's going to multiply rather, I, the number in the range, yeah, the first number, number 1, and then whatever it's going to count up to next, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 11, Yeah, starts at 1, stops at 11. I times 7. Well, let's have a look at what that means. So 7 times I, yeah, is that. So it should print out this space and 2 numbers. Let me just put a space in there. I might need a space in there. I might need a space there. Okay. I'm not using the plus sign here, and I didn't use it here because if I'm using numbers, I might want to start doing some basic mathematics and basic sums, and therefore if I start using pluses, well, we've seen in task 1 and 2, you can use commas, you can use pluses, but there's always a time to use either one. And again, you will get to know over time which works the best. Run module. Okay, let's have a look at what's going to happen here. Okay, so 7 times 1. Let's have a look at this. 1 to 11. 7 times 1, first number in the range, is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. And it goes on down the list, times in the I, times in the number it's using, times in that number there, by 7. Okay, 2 times 7, 3 times 7, 4 times 7, 5 times 7, all the way up to 10. Okay, it stops here at 1 before. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you. Because of what I've got is another little challenge. Okay, another little challenge for you. Now, this realistically should work out using some code that's very similar to this, but that is just for the 7 times table. What I would like you to do is take a user input. I'll give you a clue. We're going to use int input. Okay, but that's got to go somewhere, and maybe a variable before it will equal what the user is inputting. Maybe a message here to say, please suggest a welcome message first of all, but then maybe a prompt, as you can see here. It will ask the user to enter a number of the multiplication table they would like to see, so that the user could enter anything, 1,000 times table. It should display 1 to 12 times the number that has been entered, so it could be 1 times 1,000, 12 times 1,000, yeah, all the way like you've just seen here. The displayed result should be formatted so it is easy to read, exactly the same as this. With this challenge, I just want you to have a go at producing a times table that the user can request any number they like. Okay, once you've done that, there are some more questions. I've added some more questions to this task, to this assignment, so good luck. You will need to have a little go at these. Yeah, practice for yourself. Don't just make screenshots of mine. Have a practice, and then good luck with the challenge and good luck with the tasks that are attached to this assignment. Okay, thank you very much. I will see you next time.